If you were to take a poll of cities of the world in terms of quality of life, without being insulting, it seems to me that Calcutta would be pretty close to the bottom, if not at the bottom. It is a very, very overwhelming city in every sense. The sensory stimuli are just too much in terms of pollution, in terms of garbage, smell, compression of people, traffic, people living on the streets, sleeping on the streets. It's just an absolutely overwhelming city to visit, let alone live in. To think about living there, let alone ministering there, is just a touch mind-boggling. Well, Stewart Shaw is doing exactly that, and he's our guest. Welcome, Stewart.
Thank you.
You look relatively peaceful. You've been here in Canada for a few weeks?
Well, I'm just enjoying the fresh air and driving on nice roads and having my coffee. It's just amazing.
Listen, when I was there with you a few months ago, I was overwhelmed at the traffic, and to think that you've spent almost 10 years driving a scooter in that traffic, it just amazes me.
Yes, yes.
What's it like driving a scooter in that traffic?
Well, it's probably the best way to get around the city, because if there's a traffic jam, I can drive on the sidewalks.
If you can avoid all the people sleeping or lying on the sidewalks.
Yes, that's right, Joe. You're dodging people.
You're dodging people, but it's hard for Canadians to understand traffic in India. I mean, if you've got 2 lanes, Canadians would be in 2 lanes.
That's right.
In India, you've got maybe 5 or 6 lanes. It's like NASCAR.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody's fight. In fact, I noticed when I was driving with you, even you are into this habit now. You don't even look at your rearview mirror.
I know.
Because if you do, you lose your place, right?
That's right. That's right.
But seriously, you've been there for 10 years now.
Yes.
You have a wife. You've got 3 kids.
Yes.
And you're having a terrific impact there. Describe a little bit of what you're dealing with in Calcutta, and I think as you do so, we probably have some footage that we can roll that will help our viewers understand a little bit of what we're talking about here.
Okay. Well, Calcutta is a very, like you said, it's a very crowded, very very polluted city, and we're dealing with noise, things like that, and but through that, we see light there, and God is moving. And
now we're looking at some pictures here of some street kids, and these kids have come from the countryside into Calcutta. In most cases, are living without parents, are sexually exploited.
That's right. Yes.
Where do they find food?
Well, actually, they have to fend for themselves as they come into the city. They have to sell different things like, chewing tobacco, cigarettes, and things like that. There's no free lunch in the city of Calcutta, so these kids try to scrape what they can so they can buy a meal or a little chapati or something like that.
Chapati is?
It's like a little roti, like a flat piece of flatbread.
Piece of flatbread.
Yeah.
Now, when we were together, you took us down to the railway station. Where you're working with a lot of these kids now. These kids come in from the country on the trains.
They do. They end up down at the train station, and they end up actually staying there. And the Calcutta newspaper reported one time there's up to 300 children living down on the train tracks and the train station, and most of these kids are children, and they're addict children. They're addicted to some form of glue or alcohol or even whiteout. That's a preferred.
Whiteout?
A whiteout, yes. The old style for,
They sniff it?
Yeah, they do. They put it on a rag, and then they inhale it.
And this, of course, is just a way of dulling the pain. I mean, the horror of life for these kids. I'll never forget that one beautiful little girl that you introduced us to who she'd lost count of the time she'd been raped.
That's right.
And
that's right, yes.
She had this quiet beauty about her, but my heart was just broken for her.
Yeah, it's sad, especially, with the young girls, because they're a target down there, for the men and being exploited, and so our job is to every day go down to the train tracks and round the kids up in the morning time and bring them to our center.
Now, we went to that center, and I was so impressed with the ministry was going on there. The guy who was leading it, whose name escapes me, short little guy.
Anthony.
Anthony, right, Anthony. A former
Drug addict
drug
and gang
addict,
leader.
criminal, gang leader.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about his story.
Well, actually, during the Hindu-Muslim riots, his house was blown up, and his mother, his father, and his sister was killed. So he was actually orphaned around. He was 7 years of age, and he ended up coming into the city, befriended by someone down there in the city. Just like the movie Slumdog Millionaire, around that same.
And by the way, you were telling me Slumdog Millionaire is pretty accurate.
It's pretty accurate.
Its portrayal of
Yes,
West
it
India.
is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
The Indians don't like it.
Well, I don't know if they don't like it or not, but I think it's more of a Western style geared to Western viewers.
Right.
You know, not your typical Indian movie where there's always like singing and dancing and things like that too. So a little bit different perspective.
But anyway, Anthony comes into town. He gets basically absorbed by
Yes.
the underworld.
That's right, and he got involved with stealing and then eventually murder. And I met him on the train tracks about 6.5 years ago, and he was hiding behind a garbage dump, and he had his machete with him, and he had his gang members around the garbage dump. And so I started ministering to him, and I saw something in him that I felt that, you know, this guy could be an amazing kid, you know, if God got a hold of his life. And, you know, ministering for a couple of years, and he finally came to that point and said, you know, I can't help myself, and we've been telling about Jesus, and you know, he came to that point and said, I want Jesus in my life, and I want him to change my life. So right there in the train tracks, he accepted Christ into his heart, and from there we took him to detoxification for 3 months, and after that he came and lived with us in our house for 9 months.
Now, it's not every day that somebody invites a murderer into his house.
Well, that was a big problem because as his time was coming to an end in his detox program, I said to my wife, I said, what are we going to do with him? You know, he can't go back to the train tracks, or he can't go back down to that area. So I asked Monique if he could come stay with us, and her eyes just gave me that look. You're joking. And but after praying, you know, God spoke to her and confirmed in her heart that we were to have this kid in our house. So we invited him in our house. We treated him like he's one of my kids now. He's one of my sons, and like any other kid, if he acted up, we would scold him. And a couple times he ran away, but we went down the train tracks and picked him back up again. And then you know, God started ministering more, and total transformation now.
Well, it's astonishing. He's married. Does he have kids of his own?
He's got one little daughter.
Yeah,
yes.
and now he's heading up your children's ministry.
He's my main ministry leader.
He's your main man, and he knows how to deal with these street kids.
Knows how to deal with the kids. He knows how to deal with the police. He knows, you know, he knows that whole area very well. And the amazing thing is, he has such freedom to move down at that train station, and I've seen him ministering to children, plus also police officers and train officials, and he tells them about Jesus. Now, this kid can go further than I could ever go,
yeah.
You know, being someone from the West down there. So we're not into numbers. We're into mentoring and molding, and say, God, you take them and use them.
Your ministry is called At the Well.
At the Well Ministries, based on the story of Jesus, where
and people can check out your ministry at what website?
Yeah, they can go onto impactasia.ca.
Impactasia.ca.
And click on India, and then they'll see us on there, and they can find out about our story.
Impactasia.ca. Click on Calcutta. Now, you also are doing a significant work with sex workers.
Yes.
Especially Monique, your wife.
Yes.
You took us down to the area there, right by the temple to Kali.
Yeah.
Which she's the
deity goddess of destruction.
The goddess of destruction, and she is the one after whom Calcutta is named.
That's right.
Kali Ghats, right?
Yep, that's right.
Calcutta, as the Indians pronounce it. Tell us about that work.
Well, a few years ago, we were praying and asking the Lord how we can minister more effectively, and of course, you know, working with the kids and down at the train station. And my wife always had a burden for these ladies that were trapped into the sex trade. So we started off fasting and praying and going around that whole area for 4 or 5 months, you know, and just asking God, how can we get in? Because it's very difficult being Westerners trying to, you know, minister in an area like that. It's very, very difficult. And so eventually God just opened up the door, and we We rented out a small little room there, and my wife, with 3 faithful workers, started to go down and minister to these ladies and built up a trust and a relationship with them. And it has been going wonderful ever since that start.
Now, what does working with them comprise? I mean, what do you do?
Okay, well, they have outreach where they actually go right into the brothels, and they meet the ladies where they are. They right into their houses, right into the laneways where they stand. They pray with the ladies. They have fellowship with the ladies, and also we have 2 cell groups right in the brothels right now. We have 2 church groups that go on inside for the ladies in the red light area.
Wow, this sounds like something Jesus would do.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would be horrified at that and say, well, you've obviously got friends on the wrong side of the tracks. But that's exactly, didn't Jesus say I came for sick people, not for healthy people?
That's right.